The heart becomes wiser after it's been broken. What is up, champions? Welcome to another episode of Champion Reads, where we go into best-selling books and their best principles to help you out with your best life. I'm your host, Willie Blake, and I'm here with the founder of Champion Circle, Mr. John Kovacs Jr. And this Champion Reads is sponsored by Champion Circle, a professional organization that helps entrepreneurs and small business owners to be able to achieve anything in 90 days. If that's something you want, jump over to our website, mychampionscircle.com, and you'll be able to find links to join our roundtables, become a member, and achieve that goal that you've been wanting to within 90 days. Now, I'm excited. This is the second episode that we're going into, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. For those who have the physical book, it's good. For those who have the audiobook, it's also good. Because it's just one of those self-help books that goes into like the story format. I love it telling the story, and not to bring like religion into it, but Christ, when he was here, talked in parables. He talked in stories. Everyone was like, oh, cool. That's nice. But the ones who like actually got it, the ones who were able to take lessons from it, were the ones that were known in history, the ones who had a legacy and were legends. This book is laid out in that, where it's just like, you can say it's a cool story and leave it, or you can get insights and learn the lessons that can be applied to make your best life, just a good life. John, as we start the conversation today, something like this lesson came up, and it was so profound that I had to get help from ChatGPT.
Okay.
Because my dyslexia sometimes just gets in the way of making it just a French, Italian kiss type phrase.
It's a good meatball. Tell us some more.
Just like a nice spaghetti and a meatball, today's topic is going to be the desert is not a punishment. It's the filter. John, just initial thoughts on that.
Oh, well, when you first shared this quote with me in the green room, I was like, yes. This speaks to me. And it's funny, in the green room, we were also kind of waking up, and one of the things you did was quoted some Nacho Libre, and it's good. It's really good, and it really got me into character for this one. And as I think about that and channel my inner Nacho, I immediately go to that place where people often think that when they're journeying through the desert, that is their punishment. They immediately say the words, why me? Why this? Why does it have to be that? This takes me back, and I want to share a quick story. But before I get to that, the fact that people believe that hardship is the punishment is a crude reality of their beliefs and why they're not finding success in many areas of their life. And I go as far and boldly to say that because I was watching a video. Unfortunately, my Denver Broncos will not be going to the Super Bowl this year. It was an embarrassing end to our season, but there was a really great line from the rookie quarterback. He was in a press conference, and they asked him, hey, there's a lot of pressure coming up to this Super Bowl and to the AFC championships. What does that mean to you? And he goes, well, he said two things. He said, number one, I don't really care about the hype. He said, my mom thinks I'm going to win, so that's all that matters. So that was point number one. My mom thinks I'm going to win, and that's all that matters. So he disillusioned this idea that there's a punishment for pressure, right? And then he goes on to say, and I also want to share that something that my coaches have taught me since I was young. And he said, pressure is a privilege. Pressure is a privilege. He says, we're privileged to have the opportunity to fight for the AFC Championship and to find our way to the Super Bowl today. We're privileged to be on national television, to live our lives the best we can and play a game that we love. I was like, oh my gosh, this young guy is throwing out bars, man. This is way cool. So my quick story is this. Actually, should I say it now? I'll say it now because I brought it up, but I'll try to be quick. 30 seconds or less. I did something really awesome a couple years ago called the Mickelson Trail. It's a 100-mile bike ride. It's like a gravel trail from, Deadwood, South Dakota to, I forget the name of the final destination, but it's another city in South Dakota. And it's awesome. It's not too challenging, but we accidentally thinking, oh, it's the same whether you start from from the southern city and you ride north, or if you ride north and you start from the north and you ride south. Anyway, long story short is we chose to go from the south to the north. And apparently we didn't look up the altitude or the elevation gain, but if you ride from the south to the north, you're climbing uphill most of the way, which is not ideal for a 100-mile bike ride. It turns a solid 6-hour bike ride into maybe 7, 8, even 9 hours of bike riding. And that's not great, especially if you're ill prepared. So this whole time we're riding uphill and I'm just complaining. I am swearing to the skies, like, why does this hill just keep on going? I am so tired of uphill. And I just, in that moment, was just cursing the wind and thinking, this is terrible. And then, of course, we finished the trail. We have a beautiful day and time. And I started immediately regretting that was my reaction, because look, the desert wasn't the punishment. It's an opportunity. It's a filter. It's a place where the true John Kovacs Jr., the one that's been hiding beneath the surface, was in. And it revealed a part of me that said that I was afraid of pain and long-term suffering. And there were things that were unveiling themselves before my family, my brother and my dad, who were with me. And to this day, they still tease me and they're like, not another hill. And they make it this remembrance of that moment where I unfolded, I snapped, and I let the desert be a punishment rather than a filter, because I believed it was punishment. I believed it was something that we made a mistake, but yet it was an opportunity for us to grow. So I took a little longer than I wanted to, Willie, but I just wanted to share that story because, one, pressure is a privilege, and two, punishment or filter, you decide, but one is true and one is false. And because one is correct, your belief system behind which one it is says a lot about us and says a lot about what we believe. And I think that's an eye opener for a lot of people. What are your thoughts on this?
Agreed. Punishment is in the eye of the beholder. As a parent, I can say that I'm punishing my kids, but they might not see it as a punishment. I could say, hey, go to your room. And that would be a punishment in my mind. But for them, they're just like, oh, I get to go to my room. That's where all my books are. That's where my coloring supplies is. I can go to bed if I want to. It's just like, oh, it's just pure enjoyment for them. So it's so interesting about how it's laid out. If the desert is not a punishment, it's the filter. Because punishment depends on how you see it. Same with the word failure. A lot of people have this negative connotation towards failure. But in my experience, failure only happens when you quit. Otherwise, it's just success or a lesson. Because if you keep getting up and you're continually moving and going after whatever it is you're going towards, you haven't failed yet. You're still on the path. That's just a lesson to learn. That's just one stone that you step on towards the path of what you're going towards. So the environment of, as in The Alchemist, that he has to travel through the desert with the caravan, and on the way he meets the alchemist. Him and the alchemist go. They run into robbers several times. One time they got away scot-free. The other time he got punched but then found his treasure after. Yeah, spoiler alert. And so it's just like through the desert, it filters out the strong versus the weak. And not necessarily physically, but mentally. The desert can be the challenges of which we face in life. And if you think of the challenges that you have as a punishment, then you're going to live a sad life because it's going to suck. Simply because that's the choice you made. But if you see the challenges that you have as just something to overcome, then on the other side, you're going to be a lot stronger for it. So it's just so interesting that it's the filter. It's literally you are pouring the liquid of, I don't know why chunky milk came into my mind. They're probably the worst example for this, but it's the pouring of the chunky milk into the strainer and just like the liquid coming out and leaving the rest of it. It's the filter. It's like it's in the eye of the beholder, whatever punishment is.
And Nacho Libre got us in a really fun mindset this morning.
Nacho Libre got us good.
I'll add to that, Willie. And oh man, this is so good. This is so good. Yeah. When I used to coach track and field. This is what I used to teach my athletes. Pain is the body's response to your actions. And if you're in pain during the warm-ups, it means something. If you're in pain at the beginning of the workout, it means something. And when you are in pain throughout the workout, it also means something. But if you're in pain towards the end of a workout, then that's the goal, right? You want to be able to compartmentalize and section out your training so that every little section from beginning to end is so fluid that when you're out there on the track performing for reals, now your performance isn't based on just putting yourself out there and battling through pain, but it's literally piecing everything together so that when you do finish, you feel a little bit of pain, but you have the sense of accomplishment that you've overcome something. And for each person, that's depending on where you're at on that spectrum of experience of pain, just means that's where you're at in your training. It was never about how much of a failure you are. It was never a shameful thing. It was just, where are you at? This is the conditions you're in. And how do I get past that? Well, if your lungs are hurting, it just means that you're out of shape. You just need to, condition more, maybe do some more cardio or get your breathing a little bit deeper so that you're able to go longer. Maybe you need to go run a couple miles and just get used to that. Like, it was all about helping young athletes discover their bodies and where they were at. And I love that because it's conditioning, right? It's teaching them that this isn't punishment. I'm not here sitting behind my desk with a whistle around my finger, twiddling it all day saying, oh man, my athletes are going to hurt today. Like if there are coaches that still do that today, then they're not, I disagree. I prided myself as a coach who never had a whistle. Instead, I had a whiteboard, and I always carried a whiteboard with me. And the whiteboard was to help you contemplate, to help you think, to reframe your mindset. And you know what? It's okay. Like, I know there are types of coaches and there are great coaches out there. And I'm not saying I was one of them, but I had a method, right? And it worked to help people. And this is exactly what it means for me. Like, when it comes to identifying punishment versus filter, there's this powerful tool, and a filter is something that really gives you answers. Now let's go back to the book. Santiago is journeying. And we learned, and we talked a little bit about this in our first episode, that it really was the journey that was the story, because when he gets to the pyramids, spoiler alert, he realizes that everything he ever needed was back when he was shepherding the flocks. And it's it's amazing how we travel so far and so long only to realize that the things that we already have are the secrets to our answers, the secrets to our missing pieces, the things that we crave, and we have them, we just aren't using them. And that's a reality shifter. And really, it's like I think about. I feel like I have to bring him up every single episode, and it's just because he's been on my mind so much lately. But the late great Dr. Dennis Waitley, I miss him. He passed away last year, but Dennis Waitley in an interview told me, John, the secret to success is if you don't use it, you lose it. And he said that at like the rightful age of 90 plus years old. And I can't believe that. If you don't use it, you lose it. And so if you're focusing on the harsh punishment things in life, then you use it and it becomes part of you. But if you're not using the filters and the things that truly give you inspiration, light, and challenge, but also give you, motivation, movement, then you're losing it. And that's a good reality for a lot of people.
Agreed. I want to jump back to pain for a second.
Okay.
Because the thought came up of there's that common phrase of pain that if you feel pain, then something is wrong. Mm-hmm. In my experience, that's never been it for me. If I feel pain, that means it's something to notice. Because I can feel pain, look down, and I might have like scraped my leg and blood coming out, and I'm like, oh, I should probably wash that and put a Band-Aid on it. But other times, it's like when I'm doing a workout and I'm feeling pain, that might not be pain, that might just be uncomfortable, muscles shaking, need to do one last rep to get past to grow the muscles and rip them and repair them and everything that goes into it. And then there's the other side of it, which is like we get the pain of business and entrepreneurship, of things just being uncomfortable, us having to make the phone calls, send the text, send the message on LinkedIn, being able to click the submit button to pay $100 for ads. There's like the pain of that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. That doesn't mean that something is wrong and it has to change right away. It simply means it hasn't been done before. It's something to take notice. So I've reframed that in my head, which is anytime I feel pain, and other words I'd use is discomfort, unease, uncomfortable, then I take more notice and I'm more conscious of it, thinking, should I continue with the pain? Or is this something like a scrape on my leg that I should just deal with and then move on? So pain's interesting.
Interesting. You got me thinking, man. I like this.
That's the whole reason for this, ain't it?
I love it. Let me reframe the quote that I shared by quarterback Bo Nix, from pressure is a privilege to what you just said. And pain is a privilege. You think about it. I mean, if you wish you didn't feel pain, right? You're basically wishing for being a quadriplegic. Like you're looking to have no feeling anywhere. And I don't say that lightly, and I'm not blind to the fact that there are people who wish, they didn't have that. But at the same time, it's like if you're wishing for no pain, you're basically wishing to be paralyzed, because pain is a response. You guys know here at Champion Circle, I like to call myself the doctor, the professor, the scientist, and I always put on my proverbial lab coat. And I always say that like everything's a test. Like we have A/B test this, or we have to look at it from this perspective. And as we focus on what are the results, what are the outcomes, we're testing that. And pain is just a response, right? It's something that's teaching us like, hey, that doesn't work. Hey, this is uncomfortable because you haven't done it yet, or you haven't pushed yourself, or you're not used to this. I remember the first time I ever published a book online and how painful that experience was. And now I could literally do it with my eyes closed and hands tied behind my back. 35, 36 books later, right? It's something that I have just gotten better at. And so pain is an indicator, right? We have these key indicators of our lives of what we need to work on, and pain is an instant privilege and reaction that gives us answers. It gives us direction. And so here we go again. Pain is not punishment, but pain is a filter. It's an opportunity. It's a door saying you can choose the red pill or the blue pill. And this is the opportunity that you have to decide what you do with it. You can continue to be in pain by not exercising or focusing on it, or you can choose to exercise and focus on it so that pain lessens and gives you more pain in the future on other areas so that you have more direction on how to be better and to move forward. I did all that in one breath. Just kidding. But it is the light bulb just turned on for me. And wow, what a cool topic of feedback, and what an interesting lesson for our listeners to hear. And I preface, because to our listeners, sometimes we have epiphanies on the show while we're talking through it, and we have to talk through it to like get it out of our brains and into words. But I hope that by listening, that you gain something from this. And I hope that even just hearing, or, if we're watching the video content, seeing our reactions to this, you're seeing two humans discovering for themselves the underlying messages in this book and how it truly can enhance us. And that's why I love book club. That's why champions read. And I think it's just a great reminder. We haven't even gotten into the second topic yet, but this has just been such a privilege.
Well, that's the thing. The second topic was if we got time for it today, because if we didn't, that's a whole nother episode next recording, right?
That's right.
So as you said that, I wrote something down.
Cool.
On pain. If there is no pain, you don't grow. If you don't grow, you're dying. And if you don't grow long enough, you die. You lose what you don't keep working on. Think of it like a tree. If a tree or a plant is growing, then it is somehow getting nourishment, somehow getting water, somehow getting sunlight, and has the right soil. All of those go into it. But if you were to consider it to be a perfect flower or a perfect tree, perfection means that there is no need to continue to go forward with anything. No need to grow past where it's at. But then if it's not growing, isn't it then starting to decay and to die? Which then eventually, if it happens long enough, then it dies. How true is that with ourselves? That when we're talking about pain, pain is just another indicator that we're growing. If we are at this perfect level where there's nothing that we need to do and we are of perfect comfort and have all the skills that we want to master, and there's no need to be able to go out and fail or make mistakes, then I would say that's not a life. That's death. And a life that you're living, just like if you were dead, what's the point? Touch why I think it's so important for us to grow, why it's so important for us to keep going on. And as I lightly touch on the second topic, which is the heart becomes wiser after it's been broken. In order for something to be broken, it has to be in motion for it to break. If something is perfect, it cannot break, for then it cannot get wiser. So if you're looking to get wiser and looking to be better, sometimes things have to get broken so that you are inclined to get repaired. Whether that's we force ourselves, which is the good side, to break and to be better and to learn and get uncomfortable, or eventually life is going to push the vase over to break it, and then we just have to repair it on its time. And I don't know about you, I enjoy repairing things on my own time and learning to self-master on my own time. So I always continue to grow. And I'd ask you, champions who are listening, what about you? If the heart becomes wiser after it's been broken, are you going to be the one to forcefully break it in a good way and start repairing it now, or just await the time of when life is going to break it anyways?
Mm. Mm. Take me to church, man. That was good.
Take me to church. I'll talk.
I dig it. Two thoughts came up to my mind as you were sharing. Number one, there's two phrases that we repeat a lot, especially in sports, but I think most people have heard them. The first one is no pain, no gain, right? You've heard that one. No pain, no gain.
Yeah.
Today it means something completely different than what it's usually used for to me, and I appreciate it. So that's become a deeper appreciation for that phrase. And on the same lines of no pain, no gain, where is it? I got it. Oh, we've all heard of the phrase growing pains, and we need to see that as pain more often than we currently see pain as punishment, right? Growing pains are just part of the process. It's just filtering out what you are not used to and what you have not strengthened. And I love that. I love that so much. Whether we're talking about literally and physically, improving our strength, or if it's our knowledge or our professional capabilities or anything else, it's so good. And even in the spiritual sense, I mean, what spiritually is causing you pain, and what do you need to physically work or spiritually work on and exercise? And you need to search down deep to find and grow and to do that, depending on your faith, wherever you come from or your background, like find and exercise those areas that currently can start as growing pains, but become, the things that you're totally confident in. And then to your point, Willie, like, I love that quote, that the heart becomes wiser after it's been broken. Well, there you go. The heart needs opposition. It needs trial. It needs to be broken to grow. And I want to throw out a caveat, and I think it's obvious, but my brain goes there, so I'll just share it. Not a caveat. I want to what is that called? Before a movie, the green screen goes up. What's that?
The trailers?
No. The thing that says no dogs or animals were harmed in the making of this movie, or what's
disclaimer.
That? Disclaimer. Okay, yeah, that was the word I'm looking for. So I want to throw out a disclaimer. Clearly, Willie and I are talking about a classic book of literature, and we're talking about professionally growing and improving one's status and to find success in life. We're not talking about world domination and how we need to break other people's hearts for them to grow. We're not talking about that. And I wanted to be very clear about that, because unfortunately there is a lot of terrible things happening in the world and we can't escape it. But that's not this show. That's not this topic. And that's not this podcast. I just wanted to clarify that in case someone was thinking about that, in case they were watching the news and then they ended up stumbling upon our show. We're not talking about that. We're talking about your own personal growth and personal development. We're not talking about inflicting pain or breaking hearts on other people. So do not mistake our words for, the heart becomes wiser after it's been broken. So don't go break someone else's heart and say, you'll be wiser because of me. That's not this. And I think that disclaimer is important, even though it was implied by both of us, right, and everyone on the show. But I wanted to go there because it is your own personal growth that we're talking about. So the heart does become wiser after it's been broken. And in this case, so many uphill battles, so many deserts and experiences, and reaching the pyramids, and Santiago has gotten his hopes up so many times, one after the other. And it is very, very interesting. But it truly is that journey that made him stronger. I don't think I talked about this, and I'll wrap up my kind of final thoughts with this, but I don't know if I can actually tie it in. I was going to talk about the penguin, but I'm going to talk about the penguin later. We'll save that for another one. For the listeners who literally just heard me say that, I have a story about a penguin, but it doesn't fit in this context. It was better for episode 1 and possibly for episode 2. But there's a famous penguin story happening online right now. Just go look it up. It's an Antarctic story of heartbreak, but also confusion, and the scientists are going crazy about it. So I'll leave you with a cliffhanger on that. But my final thoughts on this are this: the heart becomes wiser after it is broken, because punishment is a privilege, or pain is a privilege, and it's part of the filtering process. And I think those two are really welcoming, like very combined when it comes to taking this topic and really, really diving into it. And I think about Santiago probably more than any other character we've read. And I see myself in him, and I see me walking in his shoes or sandals or whatever he's crossing the desert in, I still imagine, even though the shepherd boy left his flocks, he still holds onto the staff, and that becomes his walking stick. Apparently it's a thumbs down. So anyways, I love this. I love this topic, and literally could take this to the locker room and pump up an entire crowd of athletes, or I could pump myself up in the mirror. And I think that's more important, is I can look myself in the mirror and say, yeah, you've come a long way, John. And there's still a long way to go, but this is a good thing. This is a feeling worth feeling. And I feel privileged to have these feelings. And for those who have not felt it yet, I don't wish them harm, but I wish that they grow like me. And that is the purpose of that disclaimer and that share. So anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, well, great final thoughts. And the only thing that I could add to that is pain is a privilege. If you're just comfortable and life's easy and that, you might think that you know what joy and happiness and peace and gratitude and hope and love is. But I would say you only know a fraction of what you can. For a marriage does not become a strong one without its arguments. A business partnership does not become a Fortune 500 without arguments in the boardroom. And an individual doesn't become their greatest asset until they look themselves in the mirror and face the beast within. And with that ends this episode of Champion Reads. If you found inspiration in this, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. You can find us on your favorite podcasting platform, as well as go over to our website, mychampionscircle.com, where you'll be able to find the link to the podcast, all of the socials, and everything else going in the Champions universe. Until next time, champions, continue to be the champion of your own life. Continue to move forward. And always remember that what hurts you can sharpen you if you don't let it harden you. We'll see you on the next episode of Champion Reads.